And perhaps this brings to your mind an important question. Because maybe you're sitting there thinking, well, why do I need to know about the temperaments anyway? Can't I just focus on the sacraments and keep my prayer life rolling along and not worry about all of this? And in response, I'd like to turn to the great St. Augustine. In one of his most famous statements, he prayed, "Grant, Lord, that I may know myself, that I may know thee." Now, why does Augustine want to know himself? Well, it's because he's well aware of the fact that each of us has a tendency to gloss over our own weaknesses and sinful tendencies. We all look at ourselves with rose-colored glasses, while seeing everyone else through darkly tinted Ray-Bans. Now, Jesus knew that too. That's why in the Sermon on the Mount, he asks, "Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye?" If we don't know who we truly are, we're never going to be able to focus our efforts on the different areas of our lives that need work. In fact, you could say that studying the temperaments serves a similar purpose as learning about the 3 stages of the spiritual life. Just like the 3 stages gives us an idea of where we are in the spiritual life, like a kind of "you are here" map, the temperaments give us a kind of personality starting point from which to operate. And once we figure out which one we really are, we can better know our strengths and weaknesses and how to focus our spiritual activities. We'll know better how to set up our schedules, what kind of devotionals and prayers we'll find easier to use. We'll also know what motivates us or sets us off, and how to better guard against it. In the words of Father Conrad Hock, who wrote a classic text on this subject, if one knows one's own temperament, he can work out his own perfection with greater assurance. Because finally, the whole effort toward self-perfection consists in the perfection of the good and in the combating of the evil dispositions. To put it a different way, knowing your temperament will help you better love God and neighbor. And this is a huge point. Knowing and studying the temperaments helps us to understand not just ourselves, but others. Like, the spiritual life isn't just about us. We're called to love our neighbor as ourself. So by studying the temperaments, we'll better know our neighbor's tendencies and patterns, and so learn to interact with them in a more charitable and helpful manner. As Father Hawk says, if one knows that another's defects are the consequence of their temperament, he excuses them more readily and will not so easily be excited or angered by them. He remains quiet, for instance, even if a choleric is severe, sharp-edged, impetuous, or obstinate. And if a melancholic person is slow, hesitating, undecided, if he does not speak much, and even if he says awkwardly the little he has to say, or if a sanguine person is very talkative, light-minded, and frivolous, if a phlegmatic cannot be aroused from his usual indifference, he does not become irritated. So, knowledge of the temperaments greatly helps us in relations with others.